Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another live broadcast of Jacob's Ladder. I am I'm your host. That's me. This is me. Hello, welcome. I'm Jacob Israel. If you're new, you're going to have a good time tonight. We got some interesting things to talk about. How about that thumbnail? Take a look. I'm enjoying having AI create little things for me. I say, hey, create Elon Musk as a wrestler for me, considering that's going to be that's what he's choosing to use as his form of defense against Zuckerberg when they go and do battle in the cage in the Colosseum. The gladiators back from Roman times. It's actually not that far from the truth. You're going to find out. Welcome to everybody in the live chat. Hello. I'm happy that you're here. I hope that you're buckled up. We have a lot of things to get into. It's going to pick up from last show, too. A lot of the things that we discussed on last show are going to tie into the things that we're going to talk about today. And it's bonkers. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. It's all just too much sometimes. I don't understand how they just continue to be connected. And then things that I don't even catch, all of a sudden I'll get an email, or I'll get a DM, or I'll get a comment, and everybody's like, hey, did you know this? And I'm like, wow, that's going to be great for my next show. We got almost 500 people watching already, and we just said, hey, hit that like button, will you? And let's get into this. Liberty. Declaring liberty in the land. In the background, you see the eclipse, and of course, we see that Liberty Bell into 111. The 3, the 3rd. Could it be Charles the 3rd? Could that be it? Well, let's start off with the gladiators that are doing battle in the social media space, and also possibly in the ring. Elon and Mark Zuck. That's right. Hey, Lauren Sawyer, thank you for the super chat with the 111. Lauren's very prophetic. She's always putting that 111 up there, and I got to tell you, today it's going to pay off, and it's going to pay off big time, because I think it's connected to something huge. What else is new, right? Well, Elon Musk says the fight against Zuck is going to be streamed on X. And of course, there was a little bit of back and forth, and Zuckerberg was like, maybe we should have it on a more reliable platform. Like, his platform is incredibly reliable, especially if they decide that they don't want anybody to see what you're sharing on their platform, which is what happened to me. So reliable. I don't know. I think that there's a lot more going on to this whole story than maybe we know. A lot of hijinks that is happening behind the scenes may actually be indeed, kind of like to keep us focused on stuff while other things are going on. And you're going to see that there's a lot going on. So anyway, Zuckerberg, he put out this whole thing. He's like, I'm ready to fight today. I've been training hard, and I'm ready. I guess he wanted to do it in like August 25th. He said he wanted to do it on the 26th or whatever when it was first challenged, but he hasn't confirmed anything. And then Elon responded back. He says, well, I'm lifting weights throughout the day and preparing for the fight. I don't have time to work out, so I'm just doing it. I'm bringing it to work. So, of course, Zuck was kind of like trying to troll him. Didn't do it so great. Elon says in response, the exact date is still in flux. I'm getting an MRI of my neck and my upper back tomorrow. May require surgery before the fight can happen. We'll know this week. This is rich, right? I mean, when you got a back and a neck issue, you shouldn't be fighting. And if it's requiring an MRI and you think it might be surgery, I have news for you. Not all back and neck issues have to be fixed with a surgery, just so you know. I know a guy who used to sell mattresses and knows that the effect of a great supportive mattress can literally change your life. And you have the right pillow, exercise, losing weight. There are things you could do, stretches. Not everything has to be going under the knife. And I think people forget sometimes that these surgeons and these doctors, well, they make money off of those procedures. So there's incentive, right? There's incentive. But besides all that, he says that his back's messed up. And I think the reason is because the only excitement that I see about this fight that's supposed to go down, which, believe it or not, is somehow metaphorically connected to where I'm going with the rest of the show. Well, it seems like Elon's his platform's a little more successful and a little more poppin'. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of excitement over there on the old Facebook. But hey, what are you gonna do? Maybe he's carrying the fight and the marketing of it. And that's why his back hurts. But he's got a lot of other things going on. He just launched another 22, satellites into space up there. Thank you very much, Blissfully. I appreciate that. You love my insight. Oh, well, thank God for that. I don't know what I'm doing. I just kind of just talk, I'm really happy you're all here. And listen, in the live chat, you can say something. You can leave me a comment. I go back. I look at these things. I appreciate all those that have hit the like button already. What that does is it signals and it tells YouTube, hey, this is a pretty good show and maybe more people should watch it, in an accent just like that. That's the way the AI hears it. But SpaceX, they just launched 22 satellites into space, 22, 11. Got them ones going on. Everything's 22. Remember Elon was wearing that jacket, James 22? We were all like, what does that mean? Who knows? But 22 satellites just launched to orbit on the Falcon 9. And, that's he's got like 12,000 more to go or something. But he's got a lot of satellites, a lot of them up there in the old, whatever it is up there, whether it's space or not. But on my last show, you probably remember we talked about SummerSlam, and we had all this strange coincidence between a match that took place in 2007, which was WrestleMania 23. And it was on April 1st. And from that day to the end of the second eclipse in 2024, it was like exactly 17 years and 7 days less the day. So it would be like 17 and then 6. There's a lot of 1776 connections that we made as well. But the show that was playing out, SummerSlam, we went over a lot of the matches and I showed you how most of the characters are kind of connected to like demons and devils. There was the Beast, Brock Lesnar. Of course, that's the Beast, the Antichrist. Then you had the demon, Finn Balor, right? It's a demon. You have Asuka, the demon. You had like a lot of demons and devils and a lot of nonsense, right? But the main thing that was going on, which is ironic because I've been talking a lot about how you shouldn't get involved in tribalism and that this whole thing is about tribalism. And I said, it's not for me and it shouldn't be for you either, but that's what they're trying to rally everybody into is this, tribalistic mentality. I think the tribalism is geared towards Rome, which may still be around today, believe it or not. And so it was interesting that they had their trial by combat. And of course, Roman Reigns, he won the match. Now, I was hoping that Jey Uso, one of the twins, was going to win the match, if you remember correctly, because his name is Joshua. And Joshua is the one that gets everyone into the promised land, not Moses. Moses comes first. And Yahshua is the name of Jesus, so Joshua would be a very similar name in English. So it would be great if Yahshua beat Rome, but in this case, it looks like Roman Reigns took the cake again. I don't know if you saw this, Karen Martin. Thank you for the super chat. But I wasn't that thrilled about it. Kind of bummed me out. God bless all of you in the live chat. I see you. Thank you for saying so wonderful things. I love that we're all involved. We just lift each other up. That's what this is all about. It really is about being more than our circumstance and learning how to stand strong in the midst of the storm. Of course, China's dealing with a lot right now. You want to say some prayers for them. Their Three Gorge Dam is it's just not looking good. But before we even talk about that, let's get back to this. So I put out a tweet, or a Z, I don't know what they call them now, an X, and I took basically WWE's post on August 6th where it says Roman Reigns supreme as tribal chief, and then I wrote tribalism of Rome on full display. Joshua Jey Uso, was betrayed by his Judas brother. That's right. That's how he lost the match. Now he has a twin brother, and his brother betrayed him. And Andrew at Next Stop, Andrew on Twitter and for VKM, he said that Michael Cole, who I used to work with, he was one of the announcers, was calling a match and he was comparing it to Cain and Abel, and we can also compare it to Esau and Jacob, and we can compare it to, the duality of man, the twins. The irony is that they were calling it biblical. So you have a guy named Joshua, wrestling Rome, the reign of Rome, Roman Reigns, and Rome won. Which is strange. I wanted to point out because we were talking about the lashes that Jesus took. And it was you weren't allowed to get more than 40 lashes with, cat of nine tails or a whip or whatever scripture you're reading it from, but he was whipped. It's a symbol of our testing and our trying, and it was a horrible experience, I'm sure. But this is what happened in the match was Roman actually got whipped. Jey Uso whipped him. He whipped him. But here's the thing. Let's get back to what I was pointing out, is that Roman Reigns won the match after his brother, his Judas brother, betrayed him and pulled him out of the ring, and then he lost the match. Now, what's weird about this is that I've been talking about, of course, WWE and everything else, and I share at around 11 a.m. or so, I share this. And then at 11 p.m. that same day, Elon shares the identical match. Listen, I'm not saying the guy is like following me on Twitter and watching my videos, and I'm not saying that. He's got a lot going on. It's a lot of people watch WrestleMania and everything else. I mean, I haven't heard him talk about wrestling before, but he's in that space, so who knows? And he tweeted the exact same thing out, and he said, "I'm going with WWE as my fighting style." And of course, you got like a lot of wrestlers that are jumping on board. One female wrestler was like, "You could use my move where I rub my butt in somebody's face." And then, of course, Triple H was like, "Hey, I got your ex right here from D-Generation X." And I was Paul's writer, Triple H's writer, when he was hot. Him and the American Badass. Thank you, Night Brother. And thank you, Krista Thompson. I appreciate the super chats. Everybody's so generous today. I really do. Inspire and motivate fellow brothers and sisters to be more like Christ. God will reward you accordingly. Stay faithful. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You got the match going down, right? You have it playing out. You have Rome against Jesus, basically in the ring. It's biblical, Michael Cole says, and Rome wins. That's a problem, right? So now we have Elon and Zuckerberg, and Elon's like, "Hey, I'm gonna use WWE style," which, by the way, that's where I got that's what ChatGPT thinks of Elon as a wrestler. And every time I asked for something with Zuck, every time ChatGPT had Zuck with his shirt off, it was really weird. It was awkward. It was awkward. You'll notice in the background, by the way, you'll see that's King Charles, as you're going to find out, in an interesting position. Thank you, Rev Brian. I appreciate that. All right, so listen. Let's get to the recap of SummerSlam, because this is where it gets weird, okay? Because we've been talking about 17, we've been talking about sevens, we've been talking about 1776, been talking about all these things. MAGA against, of course, Kennedy, and all of these things that we were talking about now makes sense and are relevant, which is kooky. So on the left, you see that's WWE, and it says the American Nightmare / Cody Rhodes defeats the Beast. And then I wrote, America needs a nightmare to defeat the Beast within them, just saying. I've been saying for a long time it was going to get to be like a nightmare. I said everything's going to, sometimes if you're not waking up on your own, you get a bad dream, and the bad dream is just going to get worse until you do wake up. So in other words, don't wait for things to get worse before you believe that maybe you're more. than you think, and that maybe there is a God who loves you and is really just trying to get to you. And it's like, oh, you don't want to put your faith in me? Oh, you want to put your faith in a system where you go over, you put your palm on something, and you get excited, or you show your eyeball? You know that new thing, that WorldCoin guy, I don't know, guy from Google or Apple or whatever. You came up with the WorldCoin, and now on Zero Hedge it says I just was reading this, that they're going to use all of that biometric data, the eyes, they're going to give it to the government. So you want to do that? You want to stay in the system? You want to feel safe in the system? Right? Wasn't that the thing that I was talking about feeling safe? And I was like, Lord, you got to help me. And God was like, it's grace. My grace is sufficient. The thorn, the thorns. What is it? The cares of the world, the deceitfulness of riches. We got to stop worrying about that. We got to trust in God. We got to believe that we're more. And if you've never actually prayed, and you've never actually thought that maybe, you could possibly be someone that knows the creator of everything, you're his or her spiritual, whoever you are, guy or girl, you are the child of the creator, and you are the prodigal. And God wants you to come home, right? Don't let it become a nightmare like the American Nightmare before the beast is destroyed. Because what ends up happening at the end of that match, by the way, which was pretty cool, was the beast gave Cody Rhodes a lot of respect. So it's almost like your enemy is there to get you to become a champion, to get you to bring you to the next level. And then when you get to that next level, it's like, good job. Strange. Jacob and Esau, the two brothers, his whole life he was scared that Esau was going to kill him. Esau is a picture to me of this carnal system that we're all in. And if I share the wrong thing, they're going to come after me. You know what I mean? The scary. But the part of this is that Esau, in that fear and all that stuff that he thought was going to come upon him, turned out it wasn't anywhere near as bad. He's like, I got enough. I don't need what you have. They made up, and that was the end of it. And Jacob realized, he says, I saw God in Esau. So in other words, God is even in our trouble. How crazy is that? Not as crazy as the fact that we're talking about 17 and everything else, and Finn Balor, the demon, comes out with a 7 and an X, making a 17, or a 7 with a trident, which of course we know is a big thing. But there you go, 17 once again. Very, very strange. Now I have the winner of another match was LA Knight. That was the big battle royale. And the only reason why I put LA Knight there was because somebody said that I look like him. I don't know if I look like him or not, but you can take a look and you tell me. You tell me if we look alike. But next stop, Andrew thinks that I am I am LA Knight. I don't know. But Seth Rollins beat the Demon, Bale, and Logan Paul, of course, beat Ricochet, which is that. But these aren't the reasons why I really wanted to talk to you about SummerSlam. It's that we left off in our prior episode talking about this match right here. And there was a lot about this match that was, well, we found out was very sus. And it was the fact that you had Bobby and Trump on one side and Kennedy and MAGA on the other side. So basically there's a big duel going on between Kennedy and the Trumpster. A big duel. Big duel going down, playing out, right? Now here's where it gets weird. I do this whole show about this. I tell you all about how, even at that WrestleMania 23, that Mr. Kennedy won the Money in the Bank. And I said, oh, how funny would that be, right? He either wins it or he ends up with Trump, and the two of them, they win it together. That's like having Money in the Bank. But Mr. Kennedy, I'm talking again about Kennedy, and the whole show's about this, about wrestling, and the whole show's also then I turn and I start talking about how I wasn't really trusting in God, and how, I was being taken advantage of, and how I needed a lawyer, and how I reached out to my friend. Oh, by the way, I got a sponsor. Jacob's got a sponsor. Truly Free. This is my daughter, goes around. She gets, she's in college, obviously. She makes some money cleaning the house. She goes around, she cleans with all this stuff. It's and she does a great job too. She does a great job, and she's doing amazing in school. I love my children. They're all doing great. I hope your children are doing great. You know what? Just don't put any expectations on them, right? Playing in the backyard. Thank you for the super chat. Isn't that right? You don't want to put too many. There's a scripture that says you should train them up in the way they should go, not the way you think they should go. Everybody's different. God has different purpose for everybody. So don't try to put anybody in a box. Encourage them, show them love, treat them with respect, and teach them to treat others with respect. They're going to be okay. My children, better than okay. Better than okay. We had a great time last night. Dan, her birthday. We went to the the hibachi where you flipping the things and spinning the things and throwing the things. And we're a little upset because they included, for 5 of us, they included a tip. They included gratuity and didn't tell us. And if I had like my normal 2 sakis, I would have missed that, and then I would have double tipped. And I was very upset because I think that's very deceitful. I don't think that that's the way to go. And as somebody who was a waiter for years and a bartender for years, I think that it's really important that you treat your customers with respect and you don't try to take advantage of them, because I would have given her a much bigger tip than she gave herself had she not tried to steal, convince us. It's not good. But back to what I'm saying. Bobby Kennedy, wrestling, me stressing out, right? Me stressing out about making the bills and needing a lawyer. And then, of course, I get this email out of the blue. This weird email from someone who's saying, hey, we want to offer you like a sponsorship. You do this, you put an ad in there and all that stuff. I don't like doing the ad stuff. That's why I really like what I'm doing with Truly Free Home. It's a different thing. You get to use it with all the products and everything else, and you save 30% off if you just put my name, Jacob, in the comments in the little coupon area, and it'll be better for you, and your life is going to be better and cleaner and everything else. But these, they wanted to put an ad on my channel, but really the point is I'm not going to sue anybody. I don't believe in suing. I kind of want to leave it in God's hands. But here's the thing, is that it was a lawyer, it was a law firm, and the name of the woman's name was Grace. That was weird to me, right? Because I was praying and God says, my grace is sufficient, but it gets weirder. I had 5 of you tell me that the law firm, the very law firm that reached out to me, Morgan & Morgan, is Robert Kennedy's law firm. What? So you're telling me that I'm doing a whole show about Robert Kennedy and Trump and everything else. I'm praying and crying out, Lord, help me, and I need this, and help me with this situation, that situation, and I get an email from a law firm named Grace. So I feel like, oh, it's good, I'm going to be all right. And then I find out, because you all reach out to me and you tell me, I'm talking about Robert Kennedy, and that's his law firm. That's his law firm. I mean, what are the odds? You got to tell me. You got to leave it in the comments section. Isn't it like every show where something weird and interesting and wonderful happens? Kevin Schmidt, first time you're live here with me, man. That's great. I'm so happy you're here. I hope you hit that like. But yeah, so that's something. I mean, that's something else to see that. I mean, what are the odds, right? What are the odds? I've never gotten a law firm reach out to me. Oh, we want an ad. We want to put an ad on your show. We like your content. They don't know anything about my content. But it's the law firm with Grace on the name? Bobby Kennedy? Strange. Almost as strange as this whole thing with these 2 eclipses. These 2 eclipses, which it's about to get eerie, okay? So WrestleMania, the one that is coming up, which is actually literally happening the day before the second great solar eclipse, which takes place on April 8th, 2024, is, of course, the bell. We've been talking about the Liberty Bell, right? The Liberty Bell. Trump was carrying the Liberty Bell. I did a show a while ago about the worms that go in, through our eyes, the viruses that steal from us and mind control us, if you will. And remember, there was the Taylor Swift video where they had the Liberty Bell, or the bell in the background with the 111. Weird. Remember Donald Trump Jr.'s son, he had the shirt, it had the 111. All these 111s that I was like, well, what does it mean? And then we found that the end game for the financial system, Basel endgame, this is like this big financial reset which is going on, is called 111. It's the third. Weird. We had the system up in space. Remember the system up in space? And it's known as the 111. So we know that this 111, for whatever reason, whether we're in a simulation and like the matrix is just showing us code, because that's ones and zeros is what's before us, which doesn't bother me in a grand scheme of things, because as I've told everybody, God is the only thing that exists. It doesn't matter if everything in here is just kind of a simulation. The spirit of the living God is what gives us life. And that and this is temporary, but where we are going is infinite. I just don't want to be stuck in a loop. Who wants to be stuck in a loop doing the same old thing over and over and over again until you get it right? I don't know. Could be one time, could be a lot of times. I want to get it right now. And I know that the only way to do that is really to put my faith in a little bit more. I want liberty in the land. Who doesn't want liberty in the land? Don't you? Don't you want liberty? Don't you want to declare it? Do you want to proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof? Which is actually inscribed on the Liberty Bell. Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. So, this is what makes me think, wow, wouldn't that be wonderful if instead of being so scared, instead of thinking the worst, that perhaps maybe something good is coming. Maybe. It's strange with this bell. Like, why is WrestleMania's logo that bell? Why is Trump carrying that bell? What is it that we need to learn? Now, my buddy Lancelot Knight, the theologian, the guy I tell you about, he writes such wonderful things. He sends me an email. He was all fired up about this stuff. I was already into it. It's just an amazing thing when you start to see everybody get excited about the same thing, and then we all kind of work together to get to a single truth. And the question is this liberty, I believe, is going to be declared in the land. I don't know when it's going to happen, but is it going to be a false sense of liberty? That's what worries me. Because the scriptures say that in the end that they will declare, they'll say peace and safety. And then the end comes, right? Well, if the end is coming, I guess liberty's coming regardless at some point. But here's the thing. When you look at liberty, do you know what they call it? The Liberty Bell? They call it the sound of freedom. What? The sound of freedom. That's what they call it. Saving the Sound of Freedom is, a book. There's a bunch of books called The Sound of Freedom. It's a wonderful thing. 1776. We had a lot of interesting 1776 that we were connected to last time. We got a lot of new ones connecting now. So what Lance was interested in he was like, well, you've been talking. He said, Jacob, you've been talking about the Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus. He declares that Donald Trump is the new Moses. Well, Moses is who wrote the books that we get this liberty passage from. Exodus, Leviticus, all this stuff. It's connected to Moses. Take a look at this. So we have the actor who's saying he's the new Moses. He's going to lead us into the promised land. Not really, because Joshua ended up leading us into the promised land, and Joshua Uso, he lost the match to Rome. So I don't know, but we'll see. But it's from Leviticus 25:10, and it says, and you shall hallow the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants. That's the one. It shall be a jubilee to you, and you shall return every man unto his possessions, and you shall return every man unto his family. The slaves and the prisoners of the system are going to be set free. You are going to be set free. I'm going to be set free, but it may not be easy. It may not be so pleasant. When Israel was ripped out of Egypt, believe me, they were unhappy. They didn't know where they were going. They left with all the wealth of Egypt. They left with a lot of goods, but then they were in the wilderness for how long? 40 years. It's the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania. 40 years going around and round in circles. They actually got so upset when they were in the wilderness, they're like, we want to go back. We liked when we scanned our hand and our eyeball and we got our stuff and we left the processed foods with all the chemicals in it that were genetically modified. We liked those days. Now we gotta, what do we got? We don't even know what we're eating. All of this stuff. This may end up being what happens to us, but here's the thing. We're in the wilderness now. We're going to enter into the promised land. When we enter the promised land, what do they declare? They declare liberty. It's a jubilee. And at that time, what ends up happening is all of your debts wiped away. All your debts wiped away? Well, hang on a second. What if there's some kind of a great total financial reset that happens somehow? And they're like, hey, we're going to get rid of this and we're going to give you a credit system. You see what I'm saying? This literally could happen. This literally may be happening. It may be before us. I mean, I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to unfold, but it seems to me that that is what's happening. The Queen just celebrated her Jubilee. Remember, she had the weird little thing with the looks like three strands of DNA where she lit the tree, the Jubilee tree. That was in 2022. That was just last year. All of these things that are happening, unfolding before us. It's strange. Stranger still is that it seems like, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, that wrestling is basically everywhere. It's kind of weaved its way into everything. Even in what's going on. You know what's going on in Africa right here? I'm sure you do, right? I'm sure you've heard about the stuff, the Freedom Party, I think it's called, the Economic Freedom Party. Here we go with the freedom again. And they're calling to, Elon pointed this out. He said, this is a terrible thing. And nobody's saying anything about, I guess, I'm not even going to get into it. You look it up. Because, there's a lot to this. But he was just the guy that is behind all this stuff that everybody's focused on. He had this huge rally and they love this guy at the Economic Freedom, which, by the way, they have a coin for that. It's liberty. All of this stuff is so connected. But this guy, guess what they play? They play John Cena's theme song. What? What is John Cena's theme song doing at this rally, this economic freedom rally? It really doesn't make much sense to me. Unless, of course, there's more to the story. There's more to what is going on. Isn't there always something more? Just weird. I got that law firm and it was Kennedy's law firm. That's just weird. It's just weird that we have this Jubilee and all of these things and liberty and the sound of freedom. Do you know who won? What was it, the Kentucky Derby, or was it the Belmont Stakes, or one of them? I did a lot of these things about the horses, the horse races. And one of the horses was National Treasure. And what's the National Treasure? The Declaration of Independence. I've been telling everybody for a while. We're getting close to being set free. Liberty it's being declared right now. When you look at that thumbnail, I'm declaring liberty in the land. You got the eclipse in the background. You got something else that looks like the Capitol. And then, of course, you got the King. 111. Strange. Stranger still. Are you ready for this? This blew my mind. Because I'm thinking about, of course, King Charles. I'm thinking about the crown, right? And I'm thinking about how Rome is still in charge of everything. And there's been a lot of talk about territories, how some countries have territories and how England has the most. Okay. So I get to thinking, what if I take that last day eclipse and I go back 1,776 days? Is there an event or something that happened that would be connected to declaring liberty, to a reset of everything, to that day? And guess what I find? That was the day they said Prince Charles will be the head of the Commonwealth. 1,776 days from that eclipse back to when he was announced he's going to be the king. Thank you for that super chat. I saw you. Sorry, I missed your name. I appreciate it, though. Thank you, everybody. Hey, thank you all for hitting the like. Yes, it does help like you would not believe. And you'll notice I have a picture, by the way, of the Great American Eclipse, because there's another eclipse. There's another. First of all, that's weird, right? 1776, all this stuff's connected. And it's just, like, what are the odds of that happening, too? I mean, that doesn't just, there's got to be more, right? It's not just me. I can't be the only goofball here. You have these eclipses, and not only do you have the X that we've been talking about for so long, the X, which is a symbol for Christ and the resurrection of Christ and other things, and Osiris and a lot of other things. That eclipse, X marks the spot. X over the eyes of people that are dead. X is spooky. Now, what's today? Trending today? Disease X, right? Disease X. That's the thing. Isn't that right, Madeline? Thank you very much for the super chat. I mean, everything X marks one of the spots. That's how the article reads in Forbes. As to why the UK is establishing this development and evaluation center. Yes, now it's Disease X. Everything's X. There's other letters. Somebody responded to me and said, yeah, but they can't use the 17th. Because, for whatever reason, there's a question mark in space, by the way, if you believe that. Listen, people believe in a lot of weird stuff, and celebrities included, but for whatever reason, they're like, hey, we're getting ready, we're getting ready. We're going to be ready to go for whatever it is. Sounds familiar to me. Sounds like what kind of got us into trouble beforehand. But hey, what are you going to do? People, all you got to do is you turn on YouTube or turn on your TikTok or whatever it is. Just don't pay attention. Just listen to all the terrible music that's playing today. All this music is so bad. Did you hear, who Youngblood is? Does anybody know who Youngblood is? You got to tell me in the live chat. I've never heard of this guy. I mentioned it to my children. They're like, yeah, we don't like him. But yeah. So this guy, Youngblood, I'm just minding my own business, doing a little bit of research, and I see somebody puts a video of this guy. He has like a chorus of like young children, and he's teaching them how to sing Hail Satan. And how to do it right. It's just, you got to see it. You got to see it. I'm not going to play it, but you got to see it because it is pretty funny. Let me just make sure that it is not playing. So this is him, and he's got these, cute kids, and look at the way he's dressed. First of all, that's his star. I don't know. He's so excited. He's like, yeah, and then they're all look at what they're all wearing. They got skulls and bones. I mean, listen, these are somebody's children. I just find it strange that he's getting so excited and he's screaming "Hail Satan" here. There it is. Yeah, Hail Satan. That's something else. That's something else right there. Listen. You know what I actually tweeted about that? I said, yeah, that's just the way it is. I think I said something really mean too about Doja Cat and her song. I mean, we've talked about her so many times already. I said the whole industry is built on a lie. I said, look and listen to Doja Cat, her horrible song. I almost took this down because I just because people are so lost. Because she's clearly lost. You look at the way she dresses and the things she does, and she's in a little bit of a I guess, a little bit of a tiff with her fans because her fans, she was upset that somebody was, I guess, using her name as a screen name or something. And then they were like, but don't you love us? And she's like, I don't even know you. I'm supposed to love you, It's like, well, I mean, I love all of you, but I don't know you, but I love all of you. I love people that I don't know too. You're allowed to love people you don't know, especially people that are, supportive of you. I'm grateful for all of you. So I wouldn't have that problem saying, yeah, of course I love all of you. I mean, I blow a heavenly kiss to everybody, right? So, but anyway, I said cheap tricks, no meaning, overproduced, base, vile, foul, unoriginal, lame, boring. I didn't cut corners with this one. And then I said, otherwise, like if it was a well-written song that had meaning and was going to plant something and was going to grow and make the world a brighter place, then it wouldn't need to scream out for the devil, which is what it was. Otherwise wouldn't have to scream out for attention like an insecure, sold-out prisoner of the system. Let me show you some pictures of her video. I'm not even going to break down. I just want to show you some of them. But there's something that's weird in one of them, and I'm going to get to that. You're going to notice that I have the picture of those eclipses again. Now, some people have said that A is the Aleph. Other people say that it is the symbol for anarchy. Now, other people say that it is like an alchemical sign and it's something to do with, I guess, sorcery. I don't know. But if you take a look at Doja Cat's arm, right-hand corner, thank you, Boogled. I appreciate that. If you take a look at that, that's the symbol on her arm. That's weird, I mean, I guess maybe not so much, but just the timing of it all. But here she is, and if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, there's the guy with the sickle. And what is she wearing? What does she wear? She's wearing the red, right? The crimson, the red. And then you got the guy with the sickle. Do you remember at King Charles's affair when the Grim Reaper showed up in the background? I did shows about this. Remember the Grim Reaper was there? And I had like a Grim Reaper in like the next 3 thumbnails of my videos. Here we got the Grim Reaper here, right? And then, of course, she's like the devil, and she's up there with the horned beast, and she's clipping off some kind of a hybrid child that was birthed in that gross thing. And then, of course, the beginning of the movie, or her video, which is sort of like a little mini movie, she's riding the dragon. And I think the lyrics are like the B word. And it was like, a lot of other stuff, and it really had like no meaning. It was like, she must have wrote that thing on a napkin one night when she was out too late, and then overproduced, and then of course the video has to be so just disturbing and dark. You look at this right here. If you look, if I can move this out of the way, you'll see there's her alter ego there in the sickle, covered in blood. I mean, why have people got to do this stuff, right? If you consider yourself to be, that's not really great art. As far as I'm concerned, I'm sure that some people may say, oh, she's an artist, that's art. I mean, Grimes even said that she's a genius. She's not a genius, in my opinion. I'm guarantee she didn't direct this. She didn't pick out the costumes. Maybe she had something to do with some of the stuff. The song itself is just not great. And it's like, everything's just, there's no meaning to anything. So what do you got to do? You do what all these celebrities do, right? Sam Smiths of the world. You just do everything. You do all the goofy, the spooky monster stuff because you had nothing else. You got nothing else. Dan and I, we went down for her birthday. I took her down Port Jefferson. It's really nice down there. And they got this little place where you can go in, you can get like, candles and stuff. And it's kind of like they have witchcraft stuff in there. All the, that's what it is. Like one of those stores with the crystals and everything. And we'd like going into all the stores. But when we go into the stores, there's a little more going on. Like walk in this girl, and I hope she's watching, She had a tattoo, time heals on her hand. She was reading a book. And I said, well, what are you reading? She goes, oh, it's dream interpretation. I'm like, oh, We were just at another shop where they sell herbs. This guy, just really smart guy. I mean, guess what I get? I get a bunch of wormwood tea and the Dan because she's got that menopause now. Can you believe that? She's only 49. She's got the menopause. Poor thing. She's looking for anything that can help. So she got like some red clover. I got some wormwood tea that I'm going to be starting up, like the real stuff. And we were talking about dreams there because, of course, I'm a dreamer and I love dreams. And one day I'm going to do a dream interpretation show for all of you. And then we meet this young girl. And then I find a way to, you plant the seed. You plant the seed. You say, look at all these things that came together. You're reading a dream book. We were just at a place that has dreams. Time heals. And of course, when I said, let me explain how these dreams work, I say, you know what a fox is? She goes, oh my goodness gracious. I was just talking about foxes. I had a dream about a fox. And you see how God works? It's not like I know anything. I just got an idea and I just speak it. God gives you the words of your heart. That's what it's written of in Scripture. So if things get bad and they get ugly and Rome takes over, and they start throwing, the real believers to the lions, if you will, don't worry about what you're going to say. That's what God says. He says it to me every time I come and I do a live. Don't worry about it. You put a lot of work in. Don't worry about what you're going to say. I'll handle it. I'll handle it. And he's doing good by me so far. Follow your heart. Speak life. I don't think there's a lot of life going on over here. I really don't. I think that if you're putting stuff in the world and it's dragging people down, I just don't think it's that great, But I'll tell you one thing I think is great, something that I was upset about, the fig tree that I had in my yard. And I do believe that this fig tree is somehow prophetic in nature, at least for me, because I believe in signs and stuff. I believe in this stuff. I believe that God speaks to us through the things that we see. I'm not a foolish man that thinks that nothing has meaning. Everything has meaning. So you remember I did a show where I was so upset because it wasn't coming back, and all the branches were like just white and they were bare. And I even read the scripture in a passage about how God says, break off the branches. Hopefully it'll come back. So I did. Broke off all the branches. Right? And then everybody forgot about the fig tree. A couple of people. Shehab, thank you very much. Love you too. A couple of people, how's the fig tree doing? I was like, you know what? I should go check. I've been so busy. I haven't even really had a chance to really go outside. Then came back like you wouldn't believe. I got to show this to you because this is really special to me that this is here. I even did a little short. Let's take a look, make sure that let's take a listen. About the fig tree after the branches, after I broke all the branches and I thought it was done. Turns out not so done anymore. And it's getting some fruit. Getting some fruit on there, huh? It's a fig tree. Can't keep the fig tree down. Can't keep the fig tree down. It's Dan's birthday. Very excited to see it come back. I was very, very excited to see it come back. I felt like a bad husbandman, And I keep telling everybody, it's like, God's going to have to take care of this tree. Because I'm not great. I don't have the greenest of thumbs. I'm great with cutting the grass. I could do that. I take a lot of pride in that. Thank you very much for the super chat. Andy told Momoas be the reaper. I don't know what that means, but thank you for the support. Okay, so here's another thing. Speaking of Rome and everything else, I don't even know why I want to put this out there. I want to put out there. Since we're talking about gladiators and everything else, we're talking about Musk and Zuck and fighting in the Colosseum. You think of Ridley Scott's movie Gladiator, right? Okay, so in that movie, there was a great emperor who, the story goes, wanted to give the rule of the empire to, the guy who Russell Crowe's character, who becomes the gladiator later. And then Commodus, I guess his son, who was spoiled and whatever, has him killed, takes the crown. Okay. But this guy, this emperor, I put a little tweet out. By the way, if you're following me on Twitter, thank you. It's Jacob Israel 71. If you're not, that's where I am. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. I haven't forgotten everybody. Just if you send me messages there, it's very rare for me to ever see anything over there. But so I put this tweet out about this character right here. Marcus Aurelius, who was an emperor and who practiced the art of Stoicism. Hey, A. Baker, it's good to see you here. Speaking of people that I see, so wonderful you. Thank you so much. Stoicism, which is like, it's kind of like a philosophy. It's a pretty decent philosophy too. I don't know if you know who a Stoic is or what a Stoic is, but a Stoic is it's not. I mean, it's like if you were going to have a ruler, you probably wouldn't mind. You'd want a godly ruler. You'd want a righteous ruler. You'd want somebody who's temperate, smart, kind, compassionate. You know, you'd want somebody who kind of leans towards Stoicism. Now, why did I, tweet out Marcus Aurelius to people? Because for whatever reason, I'm watching a commercial. I'm just going to pull this up. And maybe you all can add to this. I was watching a commercial, and I'm just going to play it. I'm going to make sure that it's muted. It's the Audi Q5. And if you look at it, it looks like a bunch of just like autonomous. I don't know if anybody's driving these, but there's a lady who is driving. Let me see if they're autonomous. Yep, see, there's nobody driving. So this is all basically, these are all Elon Musk's delivery cars. So driving, having for whatever reason, last night, this commercial came on and I just watched it. I was intrigued by it. And look at what she drops off, Marcus Aurelius. Like, why? I mean, it's just an odd thing to have in a Audi commercial. I'm sure there's a connection that I'm not aware of. And there's a note. I mean, I don't know why there have to be Easter eggs in car commercials, but the Audi, I guess when you have an Audi named Q, I guess you have to have these weird drops. I guess that's what they're called. I don't know. I really don't know. But that's strange, right? So I'm like, I got to look Marcus Aurelius up. Isn't that right, Rebecca? Thank you for the super chat. I got to look Marcus Aurelius up. I got to see if there's some kind of a connection. And then what do? I find about the connection with Gladiator, and I find, and then it's funny because Miss Rude, I put this out. Miss Rude says, favorite movie, Gladiator. And I was like, how cool is that? Because I put stuff out. I want to see if anybody can, put the pieces together. Just how cool that, like, innately she knew that there was a connection to Gladiator. So let me just read you the principles of this. Focus on what you can control, right? Lord, it's out of my control. Don't worry about what's out of your control. Take action. Like tonight, very tired, and not feeling that great. And I was getting late, and I said, Dan, I've been working all day. So maybe I'll do this in the morning. And she goes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She has these things that she does now, which help her and help us, all of us. I put one of them out there, which is just like if people are treating you poorly or, just let them treat you poorly. If people don't want to do what you're doing, let them not do it. You can't control people. Let them. And the other one is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which we're having a good time with this because when you don't want to do stuff, if you do the countdown and then you get to one, you just take action, you do it. That's what I did. She goes 5, 4, 3. So I said, all right, I'm doing it. I got up and I came over here and I set it up. And I'm glad I did because we have over 1,500 people watching. Right? Thank you, Scott says I'm cool. I appreciate that. I really do. I love all of you so much. I really do. So you focus on what you can control. You take action. You lead by example. You be virtuous. Diminish your ego, right? It's not about you. Think about other people. Don't think you're better than anybody else. You're not entitled to anything. Think about that for a second. Now, I know, thankfully, all of you are so genuine and generous and wonderful. It's rare that I have people I do get, threats and stupid stuff too. I get people saying all sorts of weird stuff about me, which is, it is what it is. I take it with a grain of salt, and I try to encourage the person behind, and I'll do it a couple of times. By the third time of trying to, I wash my hands of it. Like, that's where you kick the dust off of your feet. There's nothing more I can do. It's out of my control. I'm going to let them. So, but we're not entitled to anything, right? Like, so, like if you send me an email or whatever, or and I don't see it, or you send me something over, it's like you're not entitled. I get so many. I try to get back to everybody, but think about that in life. Like, you're not entitled. Like, I wasn't entitled to great service, so when I get great service, that's a good thing. You see what I mean? And it helps us to not treat others poorly. Because if we're entitled to be treated a certain way and we don't get it, then we think we become entitled, then we treat them like less than. We're supposed to be virtuous. We're supposed to diminish our ego. We're supposed to also exercise your will. Like, if you want to do something that doesn't harm anybody else, do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out there and do it. God gives us the desires of our hearts for a reason. Don't let that seed go to waste. That's the thing. God gives you there's this parable, and I love the word that they use, talents. It's like talents of gold. But think about it, like God gives us all these talents, all these ideas, all these, inspired thoughts. What do we do with them? Do we plant them and try to, have them go into the world and create a wonderful harvest? We got the enemy doing it. We got the ego doing it. We got the people that are like, I don't need to love you. I could do whatever I want. Entitled. Ego hasn't been diminished. Putting stuff out there and not thinking that children watch this stuff. It's dark. It's pretty nasty, They're putting their talent out there because God's gifts, I want to have you know this, they are without repentance. God gives us a gift. We can use it for the kingdom of God, which is righteousness, peace, and joy, and power, and the Holy Ghost. Or we can use it for the enemy. In the end, you're going to end up be like the prodigal. You're going to lose everything. It's going to stink. You're going to be starved. And you're going to think, oh, it was so much better at Daddy's house. Believe me. But these talents that we're given, don't bury them in the ground. You want to write a book? Oh, I want to write a book. What's stopping you? Write a book. I went to the beach to edit one of my shows because when I do the shows that I'm editing, I can actually do all the work from my phone here. And so I go to the beach because I'm like, I work so much. Why not change my environment? So, go to the beach, sit inside, and I have this beautiful view. And I just said, there was a woman there. She had a pad. And I said, oh, you look like a writer. She goes, oh, I used to love to write. I used to love poetry and everything else. I said, oh, when was the last one? She goes, oh, well, I needed a job, Like I needed to do a job so I could pay the bills, I can't just be a writer. And I said, you can get a job and write. I don't know why people think they got to give up on their passion. If everybody's got to, they got to make the bills. You got to put your hand to the plow. Isn't that right, Julie? Thank you for the super chat. You got to put your hand to the plow. You got to work, but it doesn't mean that you need to give up on your passion. God gave you a purpose. Use it. Put it into the world. And don't expect it to, gather you 100-fold right off the bat. To those that are given a little, you just deal with what you got. You'll get more. To those that are given a lot, much is required. Choose your response. Choose how you're going to deal with stuff when things comes your way. Be grateful. I mean, aren't these really just, I think that these are really wonderful attributes, especially if we were to have a leader who was going to be ruling over us. Because I got to tell you, Rome, even though the Roman Reigns' reign has now been over 1,000, right? It was by SummerSlam, it was exactly 1,070 days. 17 Roman was reigning in WWE, and it's interesting. So we pray God that if we ever do have some kind of an emperor ruling the roost, because I got to tell you, the days of democracy and the days of the Democratic Republic and everything else, even though it looks like it's still here, I think it's gone. I don't know. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a writer, but I think it's gone. I think it's gone. And I think that we're going to see, slowly but surely, we're going to all get back on that social credit system. You know, that's already kind of taken root right now. And everybody's thinking how terrible it is. I don't know. I'm just going to continue to do things that I know are good in the world. And I think that God will take care of me. You know, sometimes things happen because people are corrupt and evil and wicked. Sometimes, you know, people shouldn't be breaking the rules and doing things that harm other people because they're entitled. I don't know. Some people would say that kind of control system. You know, Trump's a big fan of he's like, I'd rather be a dictator than be dumb. That's what he said. And he also said, you know, when you have a pandemic, you don't want to have a bunch of people voting. You want a dictator. That's what he said. They got this already in the world. And according to scripture, just so you know, that's what happens in the end. It's like there's a group, many heads. The dragon gives this group of many heads power. Now, if the dragon was like, say, a country, like say it was like China, right? I don't believe that that's the case, but it does go by that. And we're going into the year of the dragon, 2024. Put all these things together and you start to think, maybe liberty is going to be declared. Maybe liberty is ahead of us. Maybe we are going to be set free, but what is that going to look like? That's the thing. I don't know what it's going to look like. You got to tell me in the comments section. But I will say that I find all of this stuff to be very encouraging. And I hope that you find it to be encouraging too. So, do me a favor. If you're new to the channel, I tried not asking for it, but I would appreciate it if you subscribed to me. I've been like 40, 50 away for a long period of time. I think YouTube's just messing with me. I got up to like 20. I was close 20 to 200,000. And then, you know, back down, whatever. I speak from my heart many times, and I know that sometimes the things that I say it's gonna upset people. So I understand that people come and they go. I also understand that YouTube has a tendency of just getting rid of accounts. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes because they haven't come as frequently. I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish that more of you would hook up with my Telegram or my Twitter or the Patreon so that I could send out reminders so you know, because all the links are in the description below, by the way. But if you're new and you like what I'm doing here, and I hope you check out other stuff, please do subscribe. Please do. I think when we hit that 200,000 mark, I think that's going to be kind of like a little springboard, you know, if you will, kind of bringing us, like when I hit 100,000, it was like kind of a springboard. We brought us into a new exciting phase. And who knows where that's going to lead us. But I do know that it's going to be cool. Hey, listen, if you want, this is my, this sponsor of the show, how this works, he doesn't pay me. But you can go to his site, trulyfreehome.com. And if you enter code Jacob, then it's kind of like, you know, you support that, you support Living Clean and all that. And then he will support the channel. That's the way it works. I know a lot of people do the sponsorships and everything else, and I'm trying to figure out still how to do it right. But I do use these products. I think they're awesome. I've been using them for a long time. It took me a while to actually get on board. That's one way that you can help the channel out if you want. Of course, I do hope that everybody does get a copy of The Calling. It's available pretty much everywhere. Amazon is the place to go. It's got almost 1,000 reviews if you want to check that out. If you want to get any of the merch, everything is in the description of the video below. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming. I love you all so much. And if there's a show that you want me to do or or something, just leave a comment. Let me know. Reach out to me. Find out how in the description of the video. And I will talk to you all soon. I love you all so much. Thank you very much. And we'll see you tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Bye-bye. Oh, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. Hope you enjoyed this one.